Hi there, I'm John. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I'll be talking about any and everything that I find interesting. And in today's video, I will be talking about One Piece chapter 1038 with my good friend Shane. And spoiler warnings ahead for anybody who isn't caught up to One Piece. I hope you enjoy the video.
So you're saying about the chapter, top five?
Okay, so yeah, yes, I think right now in one of all the chapters I've dropped, this has to be a top five chapter. I think
Really?
it was like the equivalent for this was like a cokehead's paradise. It was like line after line. There was just new intense stuff happening, and
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think even if I talk about highlights, there's so much things I think you can highlight. Obviously, with the thing with Zoro, with okay, so I saw some theories. People think it's Brook. What do you think about that? What's your theories intel with the skull-like figure with what's it called? Zoro?
A lot of people are thinking that was Brook. I think he's hallucinating because you remember he took so much damage from the move. So when he came back down and he was wrapped up in that comical chapter where Sanji was just wrapped him up like a Jesus figure.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. So anyways, like when they met up Upper and the other doctors from what's it called, from Zo, and they gave him that medicine that had like huge side effects about like if he takes it and he heals, he's gonna come back with double the damage. So I'm assuming that damage is already taken effect and now he's hallucinating. So there's a possibility just Brook. And he thinks Brook is like the Grim Reaper or something. So I'm just thinking that's possibly what's going on, and I don't know what Brook is doing, because I thought he was with Robin, because he's supposed to be helping protect her from CP0.
From the CP0, yeah.
From those guys. So that's how I've been feeling. I don't know, like there's so much going on. There's gone on in this chapter and the past few chapters. A lot of setup. Oda is like tying up loose ends, finishing up fights so that he can like finally like end everything with like Luffy and Tiger's fight. But like I wanted to go back to this like the first page, the cover story. What do you think of that with Sanji and Michiji? This is, I think, like one of Sanji's two brothers that is still caught.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it makes it so interesting because I want to find out what the heck happened after the Straw Hats escaped Whole Cake Island. Because now it feels like there's more consequences.
That's very true.
Yeah, to the story. So I'm not sure what happened. How many people actually lost their lives? How did Jinbei escape? Because like that's the thing that I was like. I remember like after like towards the end of Whole Cake Island, and you know like Jinbei stayed behind, and I'm like, oh no, just got another.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I really want to know.
100%.
I really want to know, but now this gives us like more consequences. You know how somehow Oda he really hyped up all the Yonkos to be like these really menacing crews. So after everything that happened in Whole Cake Island, a lot of people were like, they didn't like it because there were not many consequences. But I mean, we had so many things happening, so this is good. Like we get to find out a little bit more. Yeah.
Okay, no, I think we can even build upon that. I think 100%. Something that is good with even the cover story that you even think, like you said, and you started off with, is being able to tie in loose ends that have happened in the previous story. So being able to even cover some people's thoughts of inconsistencies. I mean, there seem to be more explanations and things that Oda then reveals a little bit later down the line. However, obviously, with a story like One Piece, you never know when something is going to come up again. So you really never know.
Especially with Oda, like he leaves a lot of questions after every arc. Like it seems like there's something, we have more questions than we do answers. So like now 100%. With like the cover stories, it like helps us get an idea. Oh, these guys are here, they're doing this and that. Like while we're in the main arc that we're focusing on. So it's pretty interesting, but we'll see. Like probably at the prologue at the end of like Wano, we'll get more information about what's happening around the world and like what happened after like the Straw Hats left.
Agreed. And I think even to slowly build on that before we move on, I think even the end of Wano, I do think is going to be more of the information dump, just because Wano has been such a big, like, action-packed arc. So I do think we will get more of those, like, loose ends and more information-based type of, kind of similar to like Zoe we had
Yeah.
after
Not even just
Dressrosa.
so. You remember the Reverie, the small 6 arcs?
Yes, Reverie. Yes, 100%.
That was amazing, and those are like my
100%.
favorite chapters besides like the backstory stuff.
Mhm,
But it will be interesting. But for now, like all I'm like really waiting for is Kaido's backstory because that's gonna be very very interesting.
completely.
Yeah, like once he
100%,
ties up
100%.
like all
Obviously,
this other small stuff. Yeah.
completely, and I think it will even nicely tie in with the end of King's arc, because obviously he saw Kaido as this joy boy figure, so
Yeah.
we will now understand whether he fell off on this course of being whatever joy boy, or how he ended up being the Kaido that we see today. So I think it's going to be one of the best backstories we see this year. So 100%, I'm excited.
Yeah, and hopefully we get more information on his race, the Lunarians, because there seems to be so many connections and so much information about them that's connected to Joy Boy and the history like of the Void Century and everything like that. So it'll be interesting, but we'll see.
100%.
Yeah, but going on to smaller things, funnier things. How is Raizo and Furukujo still going on? That fight's still going on. That's
Still fighting, bro. This has been too long. Too long.
It's been going on for a while, and I'm like,
I even forgot the fight.
Yeah.
When
I
the chapter,
completely
that was like
forgot
what,
about
near
it
the middle?
until you brought it up.
Completely same. I thought that fight had been wrapped up. I can't even lie to you, because you know how they do the like off-screen kind of fights, and then they say, "Oh, this was." I thought that was the case, but I come back, you see Raizo again in the same pose.
They're still in the same pose. The fire is like burning them. I'm just like, wow. Like, out of all the things I didn't expect, that is one of the things that I thought would have been wrapped up a while back, like a few chapters ago. Like when
100%.
Sanji and like Queen were still fighting, or
Queen.
when Jinbei and what's his name, who were fighting.
Even still before that, how has King and Queen both lost before this Raizo fight has concluded?
That is the
It
question.
actually makes no sense.
That's actually insane.
Oh my god.
Oh, but it's fun. At least it gives us a little bit of like, oh wait, there's other stuff actually still going on. Surprisingly long.
100%.
Yeah. But
it's a nice break between obviously the big hitting of the chapter. So
yeah, definitely. Because I think next chapter we'll probably go back to see like what Luffy and Kaido are doing, like how they're fighting. But I'm not even sure. We might still be like wrapping up these smaller stuff because there's still so much.
There is.
Like especially the CP0 stuff. I'm actually really scared for Robin right now because I'm like, I hope they don't manage to kidnap her, because I knew that was gonna be like a big storyline within this arc, especially if like the Marines are just outside of Wano right now, and then Zunisha is right behind them. When we found out in the previous chapter, that was just mind blowing.
That was crazy as well. Oh my
Wow.
Oda's doing it. He's doing it for real.
He really is. Because these small things that you keep remembering in every single chapter, and like I know people like are fatigued. Like you can see it online. People are complaining about different things here and there. But I'm like, once you reread the entire arc as is and not week to week, you'll be surprised how much more you appreciate it than when you're reading it.
Completely agreed. Completely agreed. I think even to build on that, obviously I don't want to divert too much. Even reading Dressrosa compared to watching Dressrosa is a very good example of that.
Yeah.
So I think 100%. Even just I think that's one thing a lot of people forget is that we're watching this week to week or reading it week to week. So you don't necessarily get the same impact.
It's a different experience. Yeah, even with like Dressrosa, I remember when I was catching up, I was just watching it, so I didn't necessarily notice it. Like I would just skip through the arcs that were like repeating, like because I noticed the pattern of like how the show was going. So you just skip through what you didn't need when you go to the core of like what's going on in the episode. So it was different for me, even if I was watching it rather than reading it. But you know, people are gonna like look back and it's always going to be so controversial because of how so hyped up Wano was. So we'll see. We'll just see how it goes. We'll just definitely see how it goes.
Agreed.
But question: what do you think Jinbei is gonna do now? I mean, I know
Mm.
he's like helping out random fodder, like this chapter,
Mhm.
that's what he was doing. But do you
Mhm.
think he's gonna eventually find Robin and try and fight off
That's
Zero?
That's exactly my thing. Well, obviously, before we even get to Jinbei, obviously, what's his? Oh, I forgot the guy's name who was with the CP0 agents at the time. I
Izo.
think Jinbei and them are going to, yeah, Izo. So I think
Yes.
Jinbei's end up going to clash when Izo is, I'm assuming, about to lose because I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's the trend season. And then I think Jinbei will be there. That is my prediction. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
because Izu looks
What about
tired
yourself?
right now. Izu
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
tired right now. So he's been fighting off all these other fodder like characters for the Beast
Mm-hmm.
Pirates. So I'm assuming like even when he was talking to the CP0 guys, he was like badly hurt. He looked tired to me. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that Jinbei, one way or another, is gonna finish helping up those people and find him, and then
Mm-hmm.
eventually just start fighting off CP0, knowing what their objective is. So I'm not sure, but like, who of the Straw Hats is like strong enough? Like besides Jinbei, Jinbei is probably the fourth strongest on the crew. So I'm not even sure who else is gonna help them fight. They've already finished their smaller fights. So maybe
And
Frankie?
even with I guess Frankie. We
Frankie?
haven't seen enough of Frankie in a while, to be fair. I
Yeah.
think
Besides his fight
because
with one of the Flying Six, I forgot his name. The guy with
yeah,
the
yeah.
the rhino
Oh,
devil, the
that was
horn.
I can't even say that. Yeah, he had his fight as well.
Yeah.
I think every show has had their main fight, but maybe Nami, not unless Nami with maybe with what's his name Usopp. But
Yeah,
that was a while
Nami and
back.
Usopp has been a weird one. They haven't had like direct fights. Most of their fights
Mhm.
actually, because they were
Mhm,
fighting
mhm.
Ulti and Page One, and
Yeah, yeah,
somehow
yeah,
they
yeah.
lost. And then some one way or another in the confusion, Big Mom ended up coming there and then knocking them
Oh
out
yeah,
with the
knocking
Conqueror's
them out.
Haki.
Yeah. Whoa,
So,
that's crazy.
so I'm not sure. Like, will they help fight? It might be a team effort to fight against CP0 to protect because
I agree.
that's also
Yeah,
a
yeah, agreed,
possibility. Because right
agreed.
now
And we finally
Sanji
got
is
some.
fight as well, so I'm not sure how much energy he still has.
I
But
doubt that much.
he probably still has a better chance of fighting somebody else compared to Zoro. Because
Oh
Zoro
no,
is
Zoro's
just
done.
down and
I think
out.
Zoro's done. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
done. I think he's done.
Zoro is
Done.
down and out.
Oh.
Because like
Even
he's
still,
just like
that kills the whole Zoro's killing Kaido. you know, that was like the right time.
oh man,
Because
that
even
DKK coalition just died quickly of miserable death. I was so happy. I love Zoro, but even I knew that wasn't
it's not
possible.
happening. That's
It
never
wasn't
happening.
happening.
There's no way Luffy isn't
That was
making the
that was
big.
gonna outshine
Yeah,
Luffy, and that doesn't make
yeah,
sense. Luffy's nah,
100%.
it wasn't gonna
Because there'll
happen.
be no way we went through the whole of the story for him to
Yeah,
get outshone by Zoro in the biggest moment. It would have been like, what?
exactly. Especially like everybody was like, yeah, like once they were all on the roof and everything, they were gonna help Luffy. I was like, it's probably gonna be for like the first part, but like in the dying embers, because of the way we know how or the way we've heard like these youngers fight, these guys are durable as hell.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah, they're monsters, bro.
they're
For real.
monsters. So
Yeah.
Luffy was still figuring out his powers. The Conqueror's Haki coating, he had just
Yeah.
learned advanced
100%.
armament as well. So
Yeah,
he's using
that's
a
very true.
combo of those. But still until he had figured that out, that was the only reason they were there. To like help him figure that out. But like these was extreme power boosts that Oda has like been accelerating
Mhm.
because like even
Mhm.
from what I heard, like to digress for a little bit, even when I heard like when Oda was planning to have the story run for 5 years, technically the warlords of the sea weren't supposed to be there. The main villains were
Okay,
just supposed to
interesting.
be the four Yonkos, and then the
Mhm.
story ended with Luffy finding
Mhm.
something like that.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah,
Even build up before you even build on that. I heard even the worst generation wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to
they
write
weren't
that many.
planned.
Yeah,
There's so many
yeah,
things that weren't planned, so it's so interesting right now. But
100%.
we'll see. Like we knew that Zoro wasn't gonna do this. Even deep down, I knew
100%.
most of those guys that were like really trying to push that agenda, that it wasn't gonna happen.
it wasn't gonna happen completely.
But now they're real quiet. They're real quiet.
I mean, his man. Listen, that's my favorite character out of the Straw Hat. But he's packed up right now, so
he really is. He's like counting out for the count. But he had like a good fight as well. Like
amazing fight. Amazing fight.
And then the fact that he has Conqueror's hockey too now. That is insane.
Yeah. I think Sanji does as well. That is my hot take. I think Sanji does as well.
I have a theory on that. It's still possible. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Because even though I don't like Sanji as much as Zoro, in terms of power, I don't think people can debate that they're either very close or the same. Like, I don't know why people assume that Zoro's so much stronger just because he fights with swords. So it's kind of like,
Sanji just got the buff with his German activating
body stretch or whatever.
And I thought like that was like, if he gets the raid suit again, like maybe they rebuilt the raid suit or made another version for him. Like I believe Usopp and Frankie might have made something, but it's for later.
Okay.
You know. Like they must have seen it like when they were all doing this training and like the setup before like they went to raid on Gashimo. So I'm assuming they already have something, a new prototype that works better for Sanji. That's not necessarily Germa. But we'll see. Like on top of that, there's just so much to look forward to. That's the thing.
Completely.
There's so much to look forward to.
And even moving on, because obviously we talked briefly about the Yonko. How do you think about Big Mom? Because I remember a lot of people originally when she had her cameo in Cake Island, they complained she was used too much comedic effect and that she wasn't taken seriously enough.
Yeah, but
I disagree personally, but I can see people's argument for that. But what are you going to say about that?
No, here's the thing. Like I've noticed, like the way Oda does things, it's like two sides of the same coin. Nothing is ever as it seems. The way he builds up a character versus how they actually are completely different things. Don't even like Big Mom as a powerhouse. She's definitely a powerhouse. She's definitely
100%.
a powerhouse.
100%.
It's just that Oda has, out of like all the sections, he will have like a clown character that has all sorts of guts. For the Straw Hats,
Usopp. And Usopp as well. Oh, you say Sanji more than Usopp?
A little bit, but Sanji a little bit more.
Actually, I agree with you completely. It's 100% Sanji. I remember
especially after Fishman Island. Especially after Fishman Island, that was the gag character. You get? He's still strong, but he's a gag character.
Completely.
Yeah. For the Warlords, that was Gecko Moria.
Yeah. Damn.
So Oda has always been doing this. Like he always has things. So it's just like I understand it. Even when like towards the end of Whole Cake Island, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Big Mom is not coming. Oh, they're gonna meet him in like Elbaf or something, and then she's gonna have a separate fight."
She came for smoke.
I said no. I thought to myself, like with the events of how Whole Cake Island happened, there's no way she's not coming to Wano. And I was right. She did.
100%.
She fought with Kaido. Then we ended up finding out about their own personal history with each other, the Rocks Pirates, all this world.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, she's here. And obviously, like, the rest of the Law and Kid are there as well. So they needed an opponent to fight with that was similarly equal to Kaido.
So they didn't feel like they overshadowed the...
Exactly, because else on Kaido's crew were they gonna fight? The main commanders for Kaido's crew were definitely meant for the monster Luffy, which was Zoro, Sanji, and then Jinbei with the Flying Six and whatnot for the rest of the smaller crew. For the rest of the crew, not the smaller crew, just the rest of the crew. But really, so like who else were they gonna fight? Although the funniest thing though, it's just Big Mom and what's his name? Perospero.
Perospero, yeah.
The rest of the crew is still at the bottom of the fall.
The ocean. Oh, well, yeah, that's
crazy. That's so crazy.
I think Big Mom is more of a threat of her own people than with others, just by her nature and everything. So exactly. I think right now, like just like you said, it ties in great loose ends of story. We get a nice world building, like you said, of Kaido and Big Mom. And
Yeah.
then even with people who complain that Big Mom's used comedic, I think if you read this chapter, there's no way you can complain about her being used as comedic. I mean,
No
she
way.
stood her ground. I thought she was one of the highlights of the chapter as well. And
Exactly.
obviously, you got to the end where with Law and Kid did their big move. And what do you think? I don't think it's end, but it's like if it isn't the end, how do you stop it? How do you stop it?
No,
Like
like
what?
no, like seriously, like
Oh.
even in Big Mom's backstory, she was touted. She was built up to be this physical powerhouse from the beginning, from the time she was 5 years old, and she was like just as big as one of the giant kids.
Yeah.
That's she's just always been this powerhouse character, just with a lot of gags. A very flawed character, very easy
Yeah.
to manipulate, and we know all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Um, my prediction is that I don't think she necessarily loses to both of them,
Mhm.
but she's gonna be held off long enough for her to realize that Kaido loses and she has to escape. And then she'll
Okay,
come
that's
back and
interesting.
fight. That's my own personal theory on it. Personally, what I think might happen.
Yeah.
Either like the rest of her crew comes, saves her, and like they escape to kind of
Mhm.
her go back to Whole Cake Island, and then they'll regroup and then fight again. Something like that. There's always been
I
this
think
theory that she might join the Straw Hats as well.
what?
You know,
No way.
I
No way.
swear. Yeah. Joy Boy. Joy Boy theories, right?
Which one? There's a bunch. Which one?
No, he's a YouTuber. So he's like one of
Oh,
the
you're
bigger
asking. Oh, okay,
YouTubers.
never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, you know him. So he had been touting for a while that probably if she remembers like from her amnesia for her backstory or something, maybe she'll get convinced to like join, like help the Straw Hats as like one of the Grand Fleet or something at the end of the final war or something like that.
Mm.
But I doubt it. She was touted as
Any?
a villain,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm
I don't see
thinking
it.
after Kaido happens, they might just fight her off or something. I don't know. I just don't
One theory I
they
have
have it
seen
yet.
though. Have you have you seen about King joining the Straw Hats?
No, that's
Okay, so
that's a bit crazy though.
so the reason for that is because obviously you saw in the instance with King's backstory, he was touting Kaido as the next Joy Boy.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking when the events are done, he may
yeah.
see the same similarities that he was looking in Joy Boy in
In
Luffy,
Luffy.
and then decide he might want to, because I'm guessing this will be the end of Kaido's story.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing maybe not King. So he might think if there's nothing else, I might as well continue, and it might give us more information to his race and etc. etc. But I'm not sure. What do you think?
Huh. That actually is interesting. That it's not like it hasn't happened before. So I mean, with Robin was Miss All Sunday back when we were fighting
Yeah.
Crocodile back in
Mm-hmm.
Alabaster. So
Mm-hmm.
it still could be a possibility. There's lots of things that Oda does where a lot of the arcs that happen pre time skip happen again post time skip, but with a twist.
Mm.
So
With a
like
twist, yeah.
Fishman
Okay.
Island mirrors what's it called in the East Blue, Arlong Park.
Arlong Park.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they have like connecting timelines. Alabaster, that was similar to Dressrosa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what was it again? The arc where we met Brooke.
Skypiea.
No,
Oh
not
no. I hate this arc. This is the only arc I hate. This is
really.
it's only arc I dislike. Yeah. No. Is it
Thriller
Punk
Bark.
Hazard? No,
Thriller
not Punk
Bark.
Hazard. Thriller Park. That's it.
Thriller Bark.
Oh, I dislike.
Thriller Bark.
Right.
All the hints of us going to Wano started in Thriller Bark. You know. So all
With
these
what's his name? What the guy with the sword? Ryu? Was it Ryu? We saw. Yeah.
Ryuma.
Yeah,
was
Ryuma.
there.
That's it. Yes.
Decomoria, the stuff that we saw at the end of Thriller Bark that looked like the same species of Zunisha. All of
that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, there's so many connecting things. So like going back to like King joining the crew, that's a possibility. Although I feel more like Uh, I feel like it's less likely than Yamato joining the crew. I
Oh, I think
100%
Yamato
think
is a given. I think it's a given at this point.
Yamato
I
is a
think,
given, but also
yeah.
another person that we keep forgetting is Carrot. How can Carrot
I don't
not
think she's
join this?
joining.
I
I don't
know a
think she's
lot of
joining.
people don't think she's joining, but I really hope she does. Because she has given
Okay.
us a lot of like moments, especially Whole Cake Island, with the
Yeah, when
introduction
she
of
first
Su
sees
Long
the
and everything. So
Sulong,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
that was
as a goal as well, kind of like a
yeah.
dream maybe. So like helping like fulfill Pedro's dream. So I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
very
it
true.
would be reasonable for her to join as well as Yamato.
Even even connecting because obviously Pedro wanted to see he said you will realize why I sacrificed myself for this later on. So maybe for him to find out what his wish was in the end and see how it ends up. So
Yeah,
completely.
although
I
she
agree.
has been disappointing this arc, but that's a discussion for another day.
For another time.
That's a discussion for another day. But that theory is actually possible. It could be possible, but also at the same time, we could it just could be a means to an end where we get
Yeah.
a lot of info dumps coming from King after. Although hasn't he fallen off Onigashima? I think he's in the sea right now. I think he fell in the sea. Or like no, but they're above Wano right now. So he's probably on the ground.
He's on the ground
He's
somewhere. I don't know.
he's
I
probably,
haven't seen him in a minute. It's been a minute.
yeah, like after he lost to Zoro, I'm like, where is he? Because he's definitely not an Onigashima. So like, who's gonna
100%.
find
No,
him?
100%. He's
Yeah.
dead.
So going back to Big Mom and Law and Kid, it's really been great to see them awakened because now it just gives us a little bit of foreshadowing into what possibly Luffy's power up will be. Because technically right now, I believe his next step in powering up is just basically his um his awakening for his devil fruit. And like Laws and Kids Awakening have actually been interesting. Although
Yeah, 100%.
not as much. And Kid deserves all the slander because so many people had so many expectations for him, especially the fact that he had all three types of Conker's hockey and he has
Yeah.
a back. Like even Zoro, who just discovered that he had Conker's hockey, even unlocked advanced Conker's hockey before him.
Yeah.
How insane that is. There's no way, no way is he gonna be King of the Pirates. No way. Yeah. That is
To be
embarrassing.
fair though, to be fair, Zoro could easily be the captain of his own ship. So
That is
to
true.
be fair, that's fair.
Even right now, like when people look at the crew, they don't think he's the crew, the captain of the crew. They always think it's Zoro because he's a lot more famous. So it's just like, man, I just had so many high hopes for Kids.
Hey,
I thought he was just gonna do his own thing. I didn't even expect him to come to Wano.
yeah, it was a mashup.
I thought he was just gonna fight Shanks and like go into oblivion because he lost. you know, I thought that was gonna happen, and then he comes in Wano, and then most of his crew, like besides,
because they got set up. They got set up by what's his name, Apu. The
yeah,
guy just like
Scratch on the Boo. He's actually a dope character.
He's amazing. His devil fruit is amazing. I think that's one of the best ones.
Exactly. He's just hilarious. But I'm like, I respect it. Like he was like, I was never gonna like, do shit. So I was like, I might as well.
Why not?
Stronger. Fuck off.
This is lame. Yeah, it's not like all these. There's like 100 different pirates talking about being pirate king. Like maybe they need to sit down and think about. You ain't really gonna be pirate king. Are you really coming on? But for sure.
Definitely okay. Like if he wins against Big Mom, he will still be respected a little bit. But the fact that it's him and Law fighting.
Yeah.
It still brings it down. It still shows that they're lower than Luffy.
I mean, completely. Because I mean,
on his own.
Arguably, people say Kaido is the strongest Yonko. So. Yeah. And he's facing him on his own while they're facing Big Mom on the 2-1. It's like, for sure. There's levels.
Low key though, I think Shanks is a little bit stronger than him.
See, we would never know though. That is the issue.
Well,
Like,
no,
just never, we'll
we
never
would
know.
never know. Yeah, that's the problem.
Like,
Odo
this is the
outstayed
thing.
that fight
Hundred
because he was
percent.
focused on the war.
On the war, he's like,
Smaller than
we just leave that one.
the war.
Yeah, bro. Like, there's so many. The level of off-screen fights they could show is insane. Like, insane. Like, if I had like a
Especially in the anime. The anime
yes,
has huge potential to do a lot of things. If
Like,
Oda gave them like a basic outline for like what the fights would be like, or some events from the cover stories, if they wanted to make a filler arc, an entire filler
Abs-
arc to give space for Oda to like make more chapters, they could do it just on the cover stories.
they
Just
can
on
even
the-
just do OVAs. They can just do mini OVAs on stuff. Like, they could
Exactly.
do like with the Aokiji and Aokinu fight. They could conclude all the events and everything. Then we could understand why they went their separate ways to do whatever. Well, especially
exactly.
Aokiji. But you know, there's so much potential.
I this is actually why I hate Toei and doing the week to week episodes.
Yeah.
Because if it was seasonal, I promise you the quality
Would be
and
so much better.
the hype around
Pacing.
One Piece,
It's a pacing.
the pacing. Oh,
Oh, it's criminal. It's actually criminal. It's
Yeah.
actually it's criminal.
Okay.
But completely.
so
Hmm.
what are your predictions for the next chapter? What do you
Next
think's gonna
chapter.
happen?
I think we're gonna have a calmer chapter because I think
Yeah,
he's actually going to not conclude on the Big Mom. I think he's going to keep the hype going to the next chapter, and the
Really?
next chapter is when we're going to get the conclusion. That is my guess because he left it on a nice cliffhanger. It was kind of like the first instance of when there was a specific scene I was trying to reference. Okay, don't remember, so I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
But I think he's gonna go back, like you said a little earlier, that he's gonna go back to the main focus of Luffy versus Kaido.
Mhm.
And then we're going to get around the end of the chapter a small instance of what's going to happen, which I then will conclude in the next chapter. And I do think the majority of the chapter will kind of tie in a lot of the loose ends and then begin to build on more of the hype of the Luffy and Kaido thing. And then
Yeah.
we'll get the wrap up at the start of the next chapter and then focus more on Luffy and Kaido. That is my guess.
I still want to know like how Yamato is gonna prevent that fire spirit from like blowing up the.
Very true.
Okay.
Very true.
Because like in this chapter, like we got to see like a little more of how she uses the devil fruit. She has both ice and fire powers. That's
Right?
insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy.
insane.
Crazy.
So I'm wondering, like also the other thing that I was wondering is since Kanjuro is the one that made it occur in the first place, I'm guessing like does it die when he dies? Or is there another way to like defeat it? Is she
Defeat
gonna
him.
use her ice powers to defeat it? And because like she's shown that she has the powers, so I'm assuming that's what's gonna happen. But I'm still worried about that. And then probably we'll go back to the what's his name, Momonosuke stuff. With
Yeah,
him
that's
trying
very
to
true.
prevent
To prevent the thing from
prevent
falling.
the island from crashing.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
one
that's
way
very
or
true.
another, like the main capital is screwed if that island falls.
100%. 100%. Yeah, all
So
the
I'm
people
just
just
waiting
chilling.
to see. Like I think we'll go back to that. I think, as you said, it will be a calmer chapter, but not calmer in the sense of like fights are not gonna be happening. I have a
100%,
feeling
100%.
we're just gonna expand on the smaller stories going around.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah, I
CP0
agree.
gonna
I agree.
manage to get to Robin? Is
Mhm.
where's Brooke? Is Brooke with with Zoro?
Zoro or somewhere else. Yeah.
Or is Zoro and Frankie gonna help carry Zoro back? Sorry, not Zoro and Frankie. Sorry, Frankie and Brooke going to help carry Zoro back to Chopper. Because I believe like Chopper's main objective in this entire arc really has been to make sure that everybody is like healthy and healing them and making sure they're okay, especially towards the end. I mean, he had his little fight when
What they did at the
in
beginning,
main
yeah.
arena.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like, okay, he has had his fight. He like shrunk. Actually, that was surprising. I didn't know
Yeah,
that
he
that
said
would happen.
there
that
was an
he
effect.
Shrunk even more. That was like
Mhm.
me. So at least he's better now. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. So he still needs work on his powers. But
100%.
that's not his job right now. His job is not to fight right now. His job is really to make sure that the Straw Hats and their
Everybody's good.
allies are okay. and like dealing with the medical side of stuff, which is important because he's the doctor of the crew. You don't have to have the doctor of the crew fighting all the time.
And I
So
agree. I think I want to build on that because a lot of people used to complain that Chopper doesn't get enough fight scenes. But
yeah,
then again, he is a doctor, so I mean, how many fight
yeah,
scenes did
I'm
you
like,
really
for
want?
his character, you're much better off him figuring out how to do his doctor stuff, like
Yeah.
figuring out like, oh, I got this, I studied let's say he goes and studies the stuff from the minks that they gave to Zoro, and he says, oh, I figured out, oh, this is why this has double side effects to this. Maybe I
Or
can
whatever.
do
Yeah,
that.
100%, hundred
And
percent,
then that
hundred
goes
percent.
back to his goal about like creating this panacea to like heal anything. And then he can
Completely.
eventually like add to his research, and then like going back to the foreshadowing of like so many parallels between Luffy and Goldie Roger. Like, do you still have that feeling that because of how much Luffy has been going through with like all the his life expectancy, like how much he's lost, like he lost already like 10 years of his life
Yeah, from
from
that
like
treatment.
from that
In
treatment Ivankov gave him.
Ivankov. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like, is that like parts or hints of what Chopper is going to use to heal his disease if he eventually finds out that he has the same terminal disease that Roger did? Because that's a. So I'm just like, I really hope they expand on that, but we'll see. I don't really need to see him fighting. Like, okay,
Yeah.
if he gets hockey or something like a power up like that, cool. But really, he doesn't need it. Maybe for the
Yeah.
final war, but that can be
Yeah.
done in other
At later
other
times,
arcs,
exactly. And I
later
think
time.
eventually we'll have another time skip, in my opinion. So that's when, if they were to make him a little bit more stronger, you could figure that stuff out then.
Yeah.
I think there's enough people in terms of fighting that you don't need to make everyone on the crew just focus on fighting all the time. I understand. So I think I agree with that. And I agree with that for sure.
Definitely, I feel like that's what's gonna happen in the next chapter. Maybe we'll actually just go into part 2 of Big Mom versus Kid in Law. Actually, that's also another possibility.
Yeah, it could.
And
I mean, yeah, they left it on a hype moment, so for sure,
Yeah.
100%, they could.
so
Yeah.
maybe like they continue fighting until the end and they see who wins. That's also a possibility. So and then they'll go into all of that. But there's just so much. There's so many questions. But this has definitely been a good chapter. But like, it
100%.
feels like a setup chapter to me as well.
Something even bigger.
For the
completely.
final
Completely.
climax, like still
Completely.
climbing up, like like a roller coaster, like we're still going up.
Yeah, we're just about to touch the apex. We're just about to touch it, you know?
And then we just drop down. We're like, whoa! It's
Completely,
cool.
completely. Yeah,
It's gonna be definitely very cool.
100%.
Yeah.